What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel we're going to be checking out a really special and really important guitar. Today we are going to be checking out this. This is an ESP E2, which is ESP's standard highest production line. This is the Alexi Laiho signature ripped guitar. This is the highest spec version of this guitar that you can buy in honoring Alexi Laiho. This is the last of the E2 ripped guitars, and this is particularly the last one that has ever been sold brand new in Canada. But we're going to talk about that and everything to do with this guitar later on. What we're going to do right now is hear this guitar in a full demo mix. And that was the ESP E2 Alexi Laiho signature ripped guitar in a full demo mix. This guitar went straight into my interface and went to my plugin of choice that captures kind of like a Children of Bodom style tone. And if you like that guitar tone, let me know down below because maybe I will do a video on how I got that tone later on. So now let's dive into this guitar in a bit more detail. This guitar from ESP's website was released in around 2021. Although from the finish on this guitar, I do believe this guitar was probably prototyped and at least demoed and given to Alexi in around 2019, which was right around the time of Children of Bodom's final album release, which is called Hexed. And the cover of that album artwork has a lot of these purple and black colors on it, as you can see on this guitar here. And Alexi Laiho used to do that with a lot of his guitars when he was still with us. Or some of them were just modifications and small improvements over time, as they pretty well nailed this guitar from the first bit. But when we are looking at this ripped guitar here versus some of the other Alexi Laiho guitars, this one is probably the most versatile because it has the addition of a neck pickup. But that's just my 2 cents because I like the addition of a neck pickup on most of my guitars. So now let's get into some of the specs and the features on the Alexi Laiho E2 ripped guitar here. Now this guitar, just like all of the other Alexi Laiho guitars, whether they are from ESP, LTD, or Edwards, or any of the other Japanese sub-brands, they all have an alder body, just like this one here. This guitar also has a little bit of the lawsuit shape. As you can tell, this guitar is heavily based off of the Jackson Randy Rhoads shape, because Alexi was playing Jackson Randy Rhoads guitars years ago, and then eventually he switched over to ESP guitars in around 2002, 2003, and that's the shape that he wanted to play. But when the first couple of Alexi signature guitars came over to North America, the old trademark infringement laws are a little bit different over here, so this shape had to change a little bit. But as time went on, there's been a couple different alterations, and now we have one that looks a little bit more close to that original shape that Alexi was playing. Those other ones are still great, but I always like seeing this one as well. This wonderful purple to black finish, which looks really sweet. The pinstripes on this guitar are the same style as the other pinstripes on the other Alexi Laiho signature guitars, but the ones on here are a little bit more ripped and jagged, as the name of this guitar would imply. So I'm going to get some highlights of that so you can see, but it's really sweet seeing that this kind of looks like, you know, you rip some paper and you get like those jagged lines and that not straight cut across. It looks really cool. It's a really nice change and an update to an already sweet design. Staying on the body here, we have an original Floyd Rose bridge. It's a really great quality bridge. We have 2 pickups here, and again, I believe this makes this the most versatile Alexi Laiho signature guitar. We have the passive EMG HZ F2 pickup in the bridge. We also have the passive EMG HZ S series in the neck here, which is a single coil. We have 1 volume, 3-way toggle selector. This is also recessed into the body, which is a little bit of a nice feature as well. And this back here is a toggle switch to engage the MM04 preamp. This MM04 preamp is an onboard guitar, like preamp booster, and this basically takes your signal up a notch. It really feels like there's a tube screamer like just built into your guitar circuit, or kind of like an EQ with a bit of a volume boost as well. It really helps tighten up that bridge pickup, and it really helps tighten up that single coil pickup as well, or at least make it stand out when you are using it for like some guitar solos or something like that. One quick thing about the preamp here is that this is designed in collaboration with the music store that actually helped work on these guitars for Alexi when he'd be on and off tours. That music store also helped design and kind of evolve this guitar as well with Alexi. And I'm gonna link to a video where you can learn a little bit more about that. I'm gonna butcher the name if I try to pronounce it. It does start with an M, but they are a very, very involved music store and music repair shop that have worked very closely with Alexi to build these signature guitars up to what they are today. Moving up to the neck and the fingerboard, we have a 25.5-inch scale length design here. We got some fretboard binding here. We have a 3-piece maple neck U-shape. It is ESP's thin U-shape, 42mm nut. This feels really great. 24 nickel frets on an ebony fingerboard. We have the last couple frets on this guitar are scalloped, which is going to make soloing up on the higher frets a little bit easier, or at least when you go up and doing like some arpeggios and some taps, it makes those parts a little bit easier to play, even some bends as well. We have an upper axis cutaway right here, and as you can see here, there's no real issue of getting up to that 24th fret. We have the classic reverse sawtooth inlays here. These just look super, super killer. Floyd Rose locking nut at the top. We got the string retainer. We have the E2 logo on the headstock with Alexi's signature. We then have the pointed ESP headstock. We then have some Godot locking tuners, which is something I wish that my Edwards guitar had. I could change them later on, but having these from the factory is really nice. There's no real tuning stability issues with this guitar. It's built extremely well, and we're using high quality components like the original Floyd Rose on this guitar. And just the fact that we have locking tuners on here just makes tuning stability even better, and it also makes string changing way quicker. And again, I wish every guitar had locking tuners, and it's something I put on pretty well all of my guitars whenever I feel the need to. Flipping the guitar over to the back, we have the battery compartment here, and this is ESP's signature ashtray style battery compartment. You just pop it open like that, and we got a battery for the preamp on this guitar. We then have no back cover on the Floyd Rose. We got some nice high quality Floyd Rose springs here, and it just feels so good. The response in that Floyd Rose is really nice. Not having a back cover is really good as well. I'm someone who likes to really make sure that my spring tension is good and that the bridge is sitting as level as possible. So I like to make these small adjustments on the fly, so usually all of my back covers are gone. So having the guitar not routed for it initially, it just is right up my alley as it is. We then have strap locks that come from the factory on this guitar with the football style output jack. Cable stays right out of the way, which is really nice. This guitar has Luminlay side dots. So what you do is you hold a flashlight up to these fretboard markers right here, and then it'll help you see better when you're playing on a dimly lit stage. I've used these before when I've been playing live, and they do really help out when I'm playing on a stage that is kind of hard to see. A couple last things on this guitar is that there is no neck dive or anything like that. I've had this guitar and I've played it standing up, and it doesn't really want to tilt or teeter or anything like that. It feels really good. The whole guitar itself is built extremely well. This guitar is also fully made in Japan. There was a while where it seemed like E2 and the ESP standard line was getting cut in China as it was their high volume, like high quality seller, and then getting finished in Japan, but it seems like now everything's being fully made in Japan, as well as the Edwards brand as well. Something else I will mention is that this guitar and all of the other Japanese-made ESP Alexi Laiho guitars, or the Edwards one, they all come set up the way Alexi liked his guitars from the factory. So we're talking about like the string height and as well as the preamp tone controls on the preamp internally. So if you are a purist and you want to play the guitar exactly the way that Alexi did, just throw the proprietary strings on, tune it to drop C or D standard, and you're basically going to be playing the exact same guitar that Alexi was playing when he was still with us. Now, when you're buying one of these E2 guitars that are built in Japan, you're getting the highest level of attention to detail, and it goes without saying that you get a lot of really cool case candy with the guitars that you get, so we're going to take a look at that real quick. Now, given the shape of this guitar, you are going to be getting a molded hard case for the guitar, which is very great, especially for the price that these things are rolling in at. The other thing, when you open the case, you're going to notice this is going to be on the fretboard of your guitar. This is a piece of plastic with a little bit of felt or foam on the bottom here. This is a fretboard protector, and this also protects the frets. This sits right in between the strings and the frets, and this is to help protect the fretboard and the frets from damage when the guitar is being shipped around. I haven't had any issues of the strings denting the fretboard or the frets when I've been shipping guitars, or even when I've received my Edwards Alexi guitar all the way from Japan to North America here. There's been no issues with that, but this is a really nice touch just in case things go sideways during shipping. The other thing that you're going to be getting with the guitar is all the tools to be successful for setting up this guitar on your own. So you have the Allen wrenches, you have the truss rod adjustment tool, you also have the strap ends that go on the guitar. These ESP branded ones that come here are really great as well, easy to use, and they don't really rattle on your guitar. You have the Floyd Rose arm as well, which is pretty obvious and expected, and the guitar also comes with Elixir strings, so they're going to last quite a long time, which is very nice. Even though this guitar isn't limited to a set number of production models or anything like that, this is a regular off-the-shelf production guitar, but this is like just going the extra mile, and this is usually what ESP Japan does. You get the certificate of authenticity, the serial number is printed on the plaque that comes in this little like plastic folder and everything like that. It's signed off by the head production manager in ESP Japan as well, basically authenticating that this guitar is legit and it's a signed off instrument and it is good to go as it should be. This is just some more reassurance that just says that I'm going to be getting a really quality product and that this company stands behind what they are putting out. And that's going to do it for all of the specs and the features on this guitar. So at this point, we're going to plug this guitar in and we're going to hear some isolated guitar tones. So now at the end of the day, this guitar is absolutely outstanding. And again, this is probably the most versatile Alexi Laiho signature guitar. But I really find that this guitar is able to do just a good amount more than the traditional Alexi Laiho guitars. It's built the exact same way. This guitar's craftsmanship feels absolutely amazing. The neck of this guitar just fits in the palm of your hand so nice. It's super comfy. The ESP thin U shape is a really great neck shape. The electronics sound really great on this guitar. And even with that onboard booster, like this really kicks the guitar up. It might be a little bit hard to hear in some of the demos when I was demoing it, but this really does feel like a built-in overdrive. And again, you can like EQ it to your heart's desire when you take the back plate off and mess with the controls, but I'm someone who is a bit of a purist in some ways, and I would probably keep this stock just out of, you know, paying respect and tribute to Alexi Laiho. So when my friend who owns this guitar went to go pick this guitar up from the music store, they said, oh yeah, you know, congratulations on the new guitar and everything, here it is. And you know, just so you know, this is the last ESP, like E2 Alexi guitar that's ever being sold in Canada. What they told him is that the guitar is being discontinued. And then it got me thinking, like, what's going on with this particular guitar? And hopefully it's not a domino effect. So I was able to make a few calls to some friends of mine that have contacts or at least connections at ESP for various reasons. And what they told me was that, yeah, it's true that the ripped model is getting discontinued at the end of this year. The other models are continuing on, but that's kind of it as we know it. But in terms of the future of these other Alexi Laiho guitars and what's going to come with it with ESP guitars, we're not too sure right now. So we're going to have to wait and find out to see what's going on. And personally, I really hope that there is going to be a continuation in some way, shape, and form for these guitars to keep his spirit alive, as he has influenced so many of us across the world as young guitar players and as seasoned guitar players. And even though Alexi has passed on, I think it is still important to remember his legacy, as he was a pioneer for us metal guitar players. Hope that we see more Alexi Laiho guitars, or at least the guitar line still remains with ESP guitars moving forward. It's just really unfortunate this, you know, the most versatile Alexi Laiho guitar is getting discontinued, but it is what it is. If you want it, you're gonna have to jump on it right now while you can still get them brand new. The E2 models that we see here are retailing for around $2,700 American. If you are wanting something that is extreme shape and you really love Children of Bodom, Alexi Laiho, all related artists and bands, you know, this might be the guitar for you. If you're not into any of those things, this might not be the guitar for you. You might be looking elsewhere for another guitar. But for me, like, if I was like really looking for the highest spec ESP E2 guitar, like, this might be the one that I wanted, and if I really wanted to pay homage to Alexi Laiho. This guitar also feels really on point to my Edwards guitar. The Edwards guitar has a couple hardware variations, maybe not as high spec as the ones that we're seeing on here, but in terms of neck feel and the fretwork and the overall construction, they're both pretty well on par for each other, although this one might be a little bit easier to get, as these are being stocked in North American guitar stores, whereas the Edwards guitar is not. So keep all of that in mind when you are deciding to purchase this guitar. And that's going to do it for today's video, checking out the ESP E2 Alexi Laiho signature ripped guitar here. And I do want to thank my friend Justice, who bought this guitar and let me borrow it and make this video for you all, and again, as well as honoring Alexi Laiho's legacy with this. Let me know all thoughts and opinions down below on this guitar and the Alexi Laiho line. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I have tons more videos on my channel that go over pretty sick guitars like this, and as well as other guitar related content and guitar maintenance tips. And if you really like what I do, make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.